I trust you have questions. So many questions. Questions that permeate your thoughts. Questions that overwhelm your soul. Questions. Questions. Questions such as...
Where the fuck have you been?
Have I changed things? Still I fear the answer's no. In this fucked up world in which I feel I stand alone. All this hate that I feel for you, my one true enemy, once was blind, but now I see. It makes me question, why do we choose to live this way? I'm trying to free my mind from what's not meant to be. It makes me question why.
You know, I was never really the biggest Fable fan in retrospect. I mean, I played the first two games, but I didn't play either of them on launch. I don't really consider myself a Fable fan. It's just one of those things that kind of happens, and yeah, so here we are. Fable 3,
Boo.
that's a thing.
Boo. Boo.
What?
Boo, darkness, boo. What? It's not a Sonic review.
I don't always review Sonic games. You know that, right?
Boo. Boo. I'm just imitating your comment section when you post this video. Boo.
You know, the worst part is that he's actually correct. I'm well aware what's going to happen when y'all see this review. It's going to turn into that. You know, what about Sonic Forces? What about Sonic Mania? Darkness, tell us your thoughts about Sonic! Do it! Do it now! Bitch, I do what I want! Okay, how about that? Including be on the floor. Anyway, so this is more of a test run. Let's see how things go. Make no guarantees, no promises. Promises are not being made, nor are they being kept. They just work with me here, okay? This is a process. A process that I hope you are all with me for. You don't have to be here. You could go anytime. In fact, I would almost encourage it. All right, so let's get on to this game because, wow. You know, it's pretty bad when a game series that I'm not a fan of disappoints me. The explanation, and the only one I can think of at the moment, is that this game is just that fucking terrible. And I mean that. To say that Fable 3 is underwhelming at best is probably being too generous because, wow, what a way to absolutely destroy a good thing. I mean, Fable 2, if we're being realistic here, Fable 2 wasn't even that good. I mean, it was okay. I mean, I played through it from beginning to end, which is a big deal for me, as someone who wasn't really a big fan of the series in general, but it was definitely a step down from the first Fable. I think that's fair to say, you know, no matter how you look at it. There were a lot of things about it that I just didn't like. For one, the ending was garbage, and let's be fair about this. I think even people who like the game will say, yeah, the ending fucking sucked. But then we have to get into the gameplay itself with the inability to die, and I don't know, it just felt like there was a lot there that could have been. But Fable 2 does still have a really, really, really brilliant design in terms of its world exploration, its environments, its ability to build a character and make you feel immersed in the experience. It still does that, which is something the original Fable was really good at as well. Fable 3 doesn't even do that much, which is terrible, because Fable 3 manages to do everything wrong. Like, it's just this downward spiral, and I guess everyone was hoping Fable 3 would at least be able to bring it back to, I don't know, close to the original Fable, but no, let's not do that. I have a lot to say about the story of this game, because, and again, speaking as a published author, plug, I could actually write a better story in my sleep. I have, actually. I've had better dreams than this. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. This is ridiculous. Alright, but I not want to talk about the story yet because I got a lot to fucking say. We're going to talk about the gameplay itself, because at its core, even if the story isn't very good, maybe if the game's still fun, it's worth a play. Too bad. It's not. For one, I just feel like the game in itself is just unpolished. And usually I don't even use that word about a game, but visually the game is unappealing to begin with, which is odd because you'd think it'd be a step up from Fable 2, but I really remember Fable 2 looking a lot better. I've been told the art direction just hasn't aged well, and it's stylized, and usually those games age really well, like games like with Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Even playing it now, the not HD re-release, you don't really need to upgrade the graphics in that game because it still holds up really well because they were stylized. There was an artistic direction. Fable 3 also attempts this same thing, but to negative effect. It has aged horrifically, and in a very short amount of time in the grand scheme of things. The game isn't that old. Sound direction is okay. They gave your character a voice because reasons. I don't know, maybe they saw Mass Effect and they said, let's do that. I mean, that's fine, but it doesn't actually help anything. It just doesn't really add anything. And in fact, it hurts the situation because before, you could kind of be your own person in Fable. You know, you could be as good or as bad as you could be. But here, not only are you locked into the same, you know, person, no matter what path you choose, but in addition, this is the most black and white game I've ever seen in my life. Like, hardcore. And again, that's getting into the story, and we're getting too ahead of ourselves. Let's back up the pace. Let's bring it all in. Let's soak it all into ourselves. And just remember where we're at. Gameplay. This game fucking sucks! So for one, you can't die. Again. And really, I thought that was one of the worst things about Fable 2, and I think most people would agree. Like, why would I even play the game at this point? You might be saying, well, your XP gauge goes all the way down when you die, so there's sort of a punishment. Yeah, but you never lose a level when it happens, A. B, the game is already piss easy as it is, so you're not even gonna die that often, and when you do, the punishment isn't big enough to be worth it. There's no sense of urgency or tension with this game as a direct result. You never feel like you're in a big crisis, no matter what you're doing, because you know for all intents and purposes, you are fucking immortal. Why would I play a game like that? You know what? I thought I was playing a game where it was possible to lose. That was a thing that could occur. Here, that's not a thing that will ever occur. You can't. You just can't. I mean, it's possible to lose missions, certainly, but you'll never really die. So, the game is already lost, in a sense, because you never feel like wanting to play it, because what's the point if you know that there's no way to really lose? In addition, why is the character customization some of the most boring and meaningless that I've ever seen in a game? I mean, it exists, sure, but for one, you have to go through this entire friggin' mansion to do it, and why would I do it? It doesn't really add anything, doesn't really take anything away, it's just there. I mean, okay, sure. And exploration, well, there's this big-ass map screen, so arguably the world is technically larger. It really isn't, because every area, like, there's no real encouragement to explore. You wind up just going straight to every mission because there's no real reason to look around. I mean, you can go find a wife or something, or husband, or whatever you feel like doing. Listen, 2019, no judgment, fam. All I'm saying is that if the world feels smaller and less immersive as a direct result, which is something that Fable games were always really good at. But here, it doesn't seem to exist. You can't really mesh with the environment. You can't really explore or feel like you're a part of the world. You're just a dude running around with a sword. It doesn't feel like you're actually playing a part in anything. It doesn't help the overall story, while, you know, trying to be more epic than the previous games, is so cripplingly rushed, and oh my god, I'm going back to the story again. Oh my god, I need to stop that, because it is my biggest complaint with the game, and I'm trying to get past everything else. Let's go back to square one. Why is the level up system in this game a fucking hallway? Why is that a thing? Why is this a thing that was allowed to exist? Because if you want to talk about artificial padding that's making a game longer, I think this is the literal technical definition of that. And I mean that. Like, really. Why couldn't this have been just a menu? Literally, to level up your character and get new spells, you have to walk this entire hallway every single freaking time. I swear to you, more time is wasted in this place than anything else. Why would you make it this way? Why would you ever do that? Why would you ever do that? Because it's cool and innovative? No. No, 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 no. No. They knew how short the friggin' game was, okay? So they had to find a way that wasn't just a menu to level up, so it would take longer. Don't lie to me and try to pretend like this was anything other than that, because no matter what you say, I will not believe you, okay? Stop lying to me. Stop lying to my face. Why would you do that? Okay, I came back after all this time to give you a review, and you're just gonna post down there about how I'm lying to you. But you're lying to me about it. You're trying to tell me something that isn't true. What's the matter with you? Oh, what's the matter with you? I haven't reviewed Sonic Forces yet? Is that your friggin' problem? Do you want to fight? Is that what you want? Do you want to start a fight with me? Let's go, bitch. So anyway, combat is repetitive and dull. The magic doesn't really add anything to the game. Yeah. And there's really not much to say. There's an expansive mode, and this is where I'm going to try to segue into the story, where you meet these people and you make them promises, because the overarching plot, here we go, is that you are one of two descendants, immediate descendants, of the previous hero from Fable 2. Now, there's a few problems with this. First of all, it railroads you into this notion of what your Fable 2 character was, and that is its first sin against role-playing, if there ever was one. Your Fable 2 character could have been a lot of people. It could have done a lot of different things, and been a very different kind of person. The game was open-ended in a way where you could, headcanon it whatever you want. Like, say what you will about the ending, it didn't at least make you anything other than what you thought you were. But here, all of a sudden, oh yeah, you were definitely a king, also you were definitely a guy. Also, you definitely had only 2 kids, even if you had way more than that. Also, you were actually a really good king and just and fair, even though you could have been a, insane monster who murdered everyone in sight in the Fable 2 game. But we're gonna ignore that element because fuck you. That's really how the game is. And it brings into, these kids, 2 brothers. One brother, was the direct heir, and you're the, second in line. And basically, your brother is a complete and utter dickhead in every conceivable way. I also said 2 brothers. That's simply not true. You could have also been a girl. My bad. 2019, no judgment, fan. Anyway, so your brother is being a complete and utter maniac, murdering everyone he sees and just being an overall piece of shit. So the whole overarching plot is that you have to sort of overthrow your brother by getting allies and, taking back the city. Now that sounds really cool. It is not, for it is executed in the worst way imaginable. There's no sense of tension here, especially when they try, I stress try, to ruin the plot by explaining why your brother was being such a piece of shit. There is this overlooming, overwhelming evil force that is known explicitly as the Darkness. Yes, I am the main villain of this game. The more you know. So anyway, the Darkness threatens the sanctity of the citizens, and the only way in order to mass, a resistance against the Darkness edge is to be an utter dickhead. Now this doesn't make sense for a variety of reasons, but I'm going to start with the most basic one, in that, why do you have to be an asshole about this? Like, if you know the Darkness is there and a threat, then fucking say something about it. If the people know that why you're doing what you're doing, or at least your immediate advisors know why you're doing what you're doing, they might be more willing to help you and actually do something about the problem. Not only does your brother proceed to keep it a secret from you, but then you yourself proceed to keep it a secret from absolutely everyone goddamn else, including the people who you spent time promising shit to in the first part of the game in order to get their aid. The whole second half of the game is you ruling over this city and making decisions about how you want to progress. Now that sounds like a really neat idea, but again, it's executed horrifically, because this is the most black and white piece of shit, apples to oranges, bullshit, nonsense, illogical, ill-conceived morality system I've ever seen in my entire life. Oftentimes, Mass Effect is accused of being too black and white in its decisions, and I can kind of see where the complaint is. There are decisions in Mass Effect that, are like, be a good person or be a horrible human being. There's no in between. But even there were some situations where it wasn't always clear what the right choice was. That sometimes you actually had to be brutal in order to do the right thing in the end. But in Fable 3, they throw any kind of gray moral area completely out the fucking window. Literally, one of the decisions in this game, I swear to you, is either build an orphanage for needy children or use those same children as cheap labor to fuel a factory. You couldn't find a fucking middle ground? What the fuck kind of decision is that? Like, are you serious? And the whole part of this game is that you have to do these horrible things in order to make money to save the town. But if you, as the leader of this city, felt the need to, I don't know, say to your advisors, hey, look, I see how we should probably help these needy kids, but there's this huge ultimate evil headed this way. We need to save some money to mount some kind of defense. I'm pretty sure that literally all of them would have been all on board for this nonsense. And even taking into account that the game's idea of, fiscal needs over military budget or whatever it may be is ridiculous. But this serves as the explanation for why your brother was an asshole, while at the same time somehow not serving as an explanation at all. Because literally the first thing your brother does in the very beginning of the game is force you to choose between the lives of some innocent protesters or the love of your life. Now I want you to sit there and think about how that would weigh into him stopping the darkness at all. Stopping me. How would any decision help there? It wouldn't. The answer is it wouldn't. He was just being a dick, okay? And I know that. So don't try to pretend as if he was really justified the entire time because he knew what was going on. The hell of it is, the whole game's plot is that your brother is incapable of being the defense this kingdom needs because he's not able to mount a proper defense. Except, from what I can tell, he's taking every single fucking ultimate renegade route imaginable, having child labor and slaves and every single nonsense ability in order to save money to mount a defense against the darkness. So, logically speaking, by the game's own intellectual prowess, of which there is zero, your brother should be able to mount a proper defense to this thing. But according to the game, no, he's not capable of it, only you are. By what? By doing the same garbage shit that he had to do. Except, you don't have to do that, it's just that if you don't, more people are going to die. But again, this all could be easily solved by having some kind of gray area, like, oh, I don't know, let's take that other decision I had to make before. The orphanage or the child labor. How about we build a smaller orphanage or something and still go with the factory, but actually pay adult workers a decent wage? Yeah, it wouldn't make nearly as much money as the free child labor, but it would still make us some money and not, result in us being like Satan incarnate. The game doesn't give you that option though, because the game is fucking stupid. I seriously cannot believe how badly they screwed the pooch in this fucking game. It's such a goddamn disaster. And there's lots of explanations for why it was so bad. According to Peter Molyneux, it was all Microsoft's fault. And on one hand, that sounds about right. I mean, I can count a lot of times game publishers have screwed things over for, developers. Sega, Ubisoft, EA, Activision. It happens a lot is what I'm trying to say. But at the same time, Peter Molyneux is probably not the most trustworthy person when it comes to this kind of thing. Because he's kind of a notorious liar. Just a little bit. Maybe. In any event, Fable 3 is not at all a good game. It's such a fucking mess. It feels unfinished, it's unpolished, the storyline sucks, and it's such a garbage conclusion to what could have been a really good game trilogy. I know there were plans to make more Fable games, but after this, we got what? The Kinect rail shooter? Pretty sure that's not an RPG at all. Thanks for trying, I guess. And there's been whispers of new Fable games. They remastered the first one, though from what I hear, they managed to screw that one up too. Go figure. I'm not even sure I want them to touch the series anymore, and this is, again, coming from someone who isn't a fan. This is ridiculous. Such a disappointment. And with that, till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.